That's right. Welcome and welcome back, everybody, to a Blue and Gold post-game report edition of the Always Irish Show. As always, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it, subscribe if you haven't yet. I'd appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up if you approve of the content. I'd appreciate that very much as well. Twitter, search bar Always Irish or at Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want me. You can get me. 312-988-15. Have your thought heard and seen. Always Irish Radio coming at you soon. Now, this is tough. We end up in the exact position I talked about on the second Blue and Gold preview episode, that after the first one had to be burned because of Buckner's injury. However, we end up right where I knew I would, with a bunch of questions. Some things make you feel good. Other things make you feel bad. Other things make you feel terrible. And you're sitting there after it all happens and you're just going, what's what? What can I actually pull out of this? What can I take? What's going to translate to Ohio State versus what is just filler for this practice we happen to see? It's hard. And I will say this. In the old days, I used to get really worked up about Blue and Gold performances. I just don't have it in me anymore. There's too many moving factors, too many little nuances, things that aren't normal, split teams, one quarterback playing for both teams, mixed and matched, offensive lines at times. It's hard. You want to see it and then be able to know this is what we got. I just don't think that's fair, reasonable, or possible. So it's just kind of tough. It's just kind of tough. But there are a lot of things we can take away from it that are going to apply no matter what the circumstances were yesterday. So before we get started, first things first. Really great to be back on campus. I haven't been back in a while. See so many old friends, make so many new ones. Fantastic. It re-energizes my soul going back there. I know I say a lot of things people think are for dramatic flair or whatever. I really mean it when I say, when I pull up there, get off the toll road, make the turn, and I see that dome, I can feel my blood pressure going down, this calm over me. It's just the place has a way of recentering my soul. And I appreciate it very much. Very special thanks to J.D. Feaster, his family, and all of the Irish Players Club people for welcoming me and my father to their tailgate event and post-game party. Every single person there could not possibly have been more kind, more nice, and more open. Fantastic group of people. Thank you to everybody involved. It was a lovely event, and it's going to continue to grow. More information on this to come as some further plans come together. So we will get there, and I'm not going to talk about anything till I have things set up. Just know we have some really fun, new stuff coming down the road, and yesterday was a part of pulling all that together. So stay tuned for that. A lot of former players, players in the NFL, current players from the game came over after. Just a beautiful event. Fantastic. A lot of support. Wonderful, wonderful people. So on the drive from Illinois over Saturday morning, I was telling my dad that one of the things I was most excited about the day for was feeling out the vibe of campus, of the tailgate, of the game. I wanted to feel that vibe out now that it's all the Freeman show and it's not an overlapping situation or Kelly involved or whatever. So much of my Notre Dame material is based on feel. And I know a lot of people don't like that or bristle at that, especially where this comes into play most is with Freeman, because there isn't a large body of work. So what you're going off of basically is past historic defensive success where he's been before and at Notre Dame, and the documentable recruiting record, which isn't in theory, that's a practicality. But there isn't a big head coach body of work, right? So I get why people don't like that. And I've had people ask, how can you be so sure about Freeman and feel so gung-ho about feel? I'm honest. I'm not telling you I'm a mind reader. I have information other people don't. So much of it's just based on an instinctual, guttural feel of what the vibe is versus what I think it needs to be somewhere where you're going to win, especially at Notre Dame where it's a unique environment, unique dynamic. There are certain vibes that are going to work there and others that aren't. Where some other places, I think anything goes. It's different here. That matters. That has to be a part of the calculus when you're hiring coaches. It has to. It's unique here. Certain vibes win here. I'm sure of that. I'm certain of it, and we've seen it over the history of Notre Dame. Of all the guys who did get over the hump, with the exception of Dan Devine, because he had so much talent, they won in spite of him. And that sometimes told him, literally, we're not listening to you. We're going to go do what we're going to do and win. So with that exception, the vibe of the coach matters and is historically won at Notre Dame when it's right. When it's right. Okay? Now, that being said, do not laugh at the next thing I'm going to say. I wrote it in the notes. It ain't a joke. I'm not kidding. This is not a Brian Kelly joke. But the vibe on campus from minute one, all day, all night, it was more like a family vibe. And I swear that came to my mind. Brian Kelly wasn't even in my mind with my family. I'm telling you, the first thing that comes to my mind about the feel of the environment all day yesterday, it was a family vibe. Not like overly laid back, but just felt more loose, more open, a little less stuffy is kind of the best way that I could put it. Like more inclusive, but not like in a politically charged way where you usually see that phrase. I just felt like it was just a more open vibe than it has been. A little less stuffy. And the first thing that makes me think of is there a certain dynamic here where that vibe, whatever it is, somehow is an extension of the head guy's personality to a certain extent. Since they're the guy dictating the tone they want everything else to be framed under or through or with. So I was driving home thinking that. Maybe that's what it was. Like to an extent, the vibe becomes an extension of the head guy's energy. And this one seemed legitimately like family, more open, less stuffy, a little more relaxed. And that's just what I felt. And so I don't know if that's a personality thing. It could have also been like a family vibe because we had almost 300 players back. And that breeds some family, type vibes, seeing their old people and all that. But even with that being said, all those guys weren't in a rush to come back when it was the other guy, and they are now. And that has value. That has meaning. That has value. And I see it that way. So vibe, I really enjoyed it. Very inclusive, very open, less stuffy, more like a family and more like a lot of us are new family. Let's all get in it together. So that's what I was feeling. It was very welcoming. I loved it. It's just a little bit of a new, different energy. Kind of like a fresh start, a clean slate, is how I was feeling. Also, while I was at the game, recruiting 2024 four-star defensive end Brandon Davis Swain picks Notre Dame over Michigan. You know how it goes, man. Whenever we get a 4 or 5-star guy, I'm going to be happy. Any of those guys you could pull out of the state of Michigan, You make a guy like me double happy. My buddy and your buddy, E.J. Holland, the old Michigan rider that used to do recruiting for Notre Dame, he was putting in crystal balls for Michigan to land this guy, being a Michigan guy, putting in the crystal balls for it. Notre Dame jumps in the recruitment for only a few weeks, gets the guy to commit to Notre Dame, and now the Swami looking at his crystal ball. Now E.J. Holland's saying, you know what, now I kind of found out Michigan kind of cooled off on him and they're not that interested. Okay, all right. I see what you're doing there. All these guys are awesome. Michigan leans Michigan's favor. We all want him, 4-star guy. They pick Notre Dame. Suddenly the guy's not any good anymore. Michigan wasn't interested after all. It's funny how that works out, isn't it? So, the more talent we could pull out of there to make those people mad, the better. It's hilarious, and everything E.J. Holland writes is hilarious. And the issue is he's in the perfect market for it because you're dealing with a low IQ fan base. A lot of them are related to their spouses by blood. You know, that there's a lot of that there. And they're not capable of critically thinking enough to question this guy. All the bad predictions and then the backtracks when Notre Dame does something and they all eat it up. You're our guy. You're doing a great job. Nobody questions anything because they're not intelligent enough to do so. Perfect dynamic for EJ. He can write up anything he wants and they're going to eat it up with no questions because they're quite frankly just not smart enough to do it and think critically. So, that being said, let's get into the actual game, shall we? Like we talked about in the beginning of this show and the pregame show, these spring games are just hard to judge. Injuries, split teams, limited quarterback hits, very vanilla playbooks, etc. All right? How much do you pull from this and take it to heart and worry about it and think about it every minute till Ohio State? How much of it do you flush down the toilet and say, this is still a work in progress, not the full picture. The guy's got to run around out there and hit a little bit. Roll with it. That is the tough calculations with all these spring games. There's stuff you like. There's stuff you don't like. What do you flush? What do you take to heart? It's really hard to tell. That being said, there are some things that obviously did stand out that are going to be relevant and apply for next year. Okay, so I think we can pull some of this that is relevant and the other stuff, let it develop, see what happens in the fall. I am too old now to let what I see in these spring games stress me out to the way it did when I was like 20. I just can't do it. Same with recruiting. I just can't. I can't let that stuff consume me like it did in my 20s. It ain't healthy. It's why half my hair's gone. So, number one, quarterback. Obviously, you saw my picture on YouTube. I did talk to Tyler Buckner after the game. He's going to be fine. But Pine, not great. Multiple picks. Could have been a couple more. The issue for me is the picks weren't close. Total misreads, direct throws to the other team. It just didn't look good. It didn't look good. He looked hesitant. He looked rushed in his reads. He looked reticent to make decisions. And I felt like half time he threw the ball was right to the other team. So, not good. I mean, he did some nice things too, but the picks and more than the result of the picks, my problem is more the decision-making process that led to the picks. Like, there's a difference in interceptions to me. If I throw it to our guy, it hits him in the hands, it bounces to the other team. That is different than our quarterback making a horrible read and throwing the ball right to the other team. Like, those are different things that in the stat sheet end up with an interception, but they're vastly different. They need to be looked at vastly differently. So for me, the issue I had was whatever the decision-making process was or wasn't was messed up, because a lot of these were right to the other team, and that is freaky. That is freaky. So I just a lot of uncertainty. It just wasn't ideal. It makes me wonder, has he been getting like next to no reps because Buckner's been running with the ones, and then the last 2 days he started getting reps when Buckner was out, and that's why it looked like this? I don't know, but it was not that encouraging. But also, you're sitting there looking at it, and you're also thinking, all right, well, yeah, it'd be really nice if Buckner was out there, right? So I could look at him too. So it was just a weird dynamic with that, because the Buckner thing was in everybody's mind. Then it's Pine. It just didn't go well, I didn't think, most of the time. Here's the flip side of that, though. I thought Angeli impressed me. Now, I'm not sure what Angeli's ceiling is as a player, like his potential cap is. I don't know that, but I just thought he looked calm, poised out there. He didn't look overwhelmed in the moment. He didn't look like he was overdoing it or pressing the way Pine did when Pine has more experience. So, while I think Pine was a little surprising to me on the negative end, Angeli impressed me on the positive end. Again, I don't know what his high-end potential is long-term. I'm just saying for this event, what it was, what we were looking at, he impressed me way more than Pine just by his poise, and that the moment didn't look too big for him. His first real moment in front of people at Notre Dame Stadium, all that comes with that. You know what I mean? Now, let's move on to number 2. It's clear to me and everybody else that watched this game, the defense is still the strength and the backbone of the Notre Dame program, as we expected. That's not new breaking news. So everything I saw was just leading me to that conclusion. Whatever it was, we ended up circling back to my thought that, yeah, it's reaffirmation that what has been the backbone of this program since 2017 still is. Now, that can't be forever. It is what it is now, but it can't be that way forever. So, in no way am I saying it's okay for this defense to regress throughout the Freeman era. No. It's actually the opposite. I need them to stay at that level, and I need the offense to get on that level. One of them doesn't have to go down for the other one to go up, you guys. That's not how it has to work. It only goes that way if you let it go that way with bad recruiting or development. So it's clear that defense is the backbone, but I need that offense to catch up. It just might take time, and that's something we're going to talk about at the back end of this show and later this week. All right? So, ride that defense for this year for sure, and then the goal needs to be to get that offense to where they are equally complementary to the winning football we're playing. And I do not feel that the offense is there yet. And I don't know how long it's going to take to get it there. But at least for now, you know you can rely on that defense. At least I feel like I can. All right? Here's number 3. Special teams. Listen, everybody, if you watch this show at all during the season for actual pre- and post-game shows, you know my obsession with this unit. You know my obsession with this unit being a plus unit that helps you win, not a neutral unit, not a negative unit. That is a huge deal to me. There are 3 phases in college football. You can use them all to win. The other guy had me thinking it was only 2 of them. No. Now, Freeman has talked about making special teams a weapon. Mason talked about it, making special teams a weapon again. We want to have the best special teams unit in the country and all that. Love it. I love hearing it. You're a long way from it. Here's the other point on this. While I'm saying I'm not going to freak out about everything I saw schematically, offense, defense, and all that, whatever, fine. Just, weird dynamic with the everything. You know what that doesn't apply to? Kicking the damn ball. Kicking the ball, catching the ball, all of that. Making field goals. That shouldn't matter. That's not scheme. That's not nothing. That's kicking. So the blue and gold format and all the unique quirks, all the excuses you could use to flush down some stuff you don't like with the offense and the defense, I don't think it applies to special teams. Field goals are field goals. Make them. Punts are punts. Catch them. Punts are punts. Kick them further than 33 yards. So on this one, I don't have the flexibility I have for the other 2 units because there aren't as many moving parts to blame. 3 missed field goals, a muffed punt for a turnover. The 2 punters average 33 yards and 42 yards on the day. Total joke. Total joke. The other thing you got to realize is the weather's never going to be any nicer in that stadium than it was yesterday. 82 degrees with a gentle tropical breeze, all right? So it ain't going to get any easier against Clemson in November. So 3 missed field goals, a muff punt, punters averaging 33 and 42 yards. There is some work to do because that is a joke. That is a joke. And you don't get to use the excuses to downplay him and poo-poo my concerns on him the way you can on some of the other notes on this list. So I know you got time. I know there's a Harvard grad transfer that's joining in the summer to help this unit with the kicking. You need it because this was bad. This was bad. Kicks are kicks. Make them. 33 yards. I'm a dummy in the stands, and I could kick a punt 33 yards. So I don't know what was going on. Perfect warm weather with a gentle breeze. It's never going to be any easier to kick in that stadium than it was yesterday. So hate it. Hate it. And have no patience for it. Hate it. Freeman knows that. He got up in a postgame and said it wasn't good enough and there's a lot of work to do. Fine. Knowing it, saying it, and making it change are different things, though. So, I did not like that, all right? I did not like that at all. So, who stood out in this game? Running back Price. Young running back Price. Kid hasn't even technically graduated high school yet, I don't think. His burst is obvious. This is an example of a guy coming into one of our better and deeper position groups. They might not be able to keep him off the field. They might have to find something for him. Punts, kicks, whatever it is. The running back room's one of those groups I feel best about in the program. You might not be able to keep the guy off the field. He flashed early. Right away, he's running, and it looks different, and he's so young. It's just going to get better and better and better. He's got a burst, and it looks different, and I love it, and I'm here for it. And if he earns the opportunities, I don't care how old he is or what class he's in. Give him opportunities if he earns it. Okay? We already mentioned Angeli. Looked poised out there. I was impressed with that. Lindsey. I saw a lot of fight from Braden Lindsey in this game. Everybody, including him, has been frustrated with his outputs in the fall with the nagging injuries and flashes of all that speed that could change a game. But then you don't see it, or he's out there and he's not 100%, not as effective. I saw him fighting with an edge yesterday that I haven't quite seen from him before. If that's an indicator that he's feeling healthy and he's really ready to attack this last year, that would really help the wide receiving room that needs desperate help, okay? Linebacker Maris Leofau, welcome back. That entire defense just looks different when he's over there, directing traffic, just flying all over. Really good to have him back. He is a key part to this defensive unit, and it was a big blow losing him for all of last year. Welcome back, Maris. Love to see it. Brandon Joseph. What a fantastic, great addition this is at a position group of need. You need him to stay healthy. He was out there, not only safety. I think he's going to return a kick or a punt. They were moving him around, trying some other stuff out on defense other than just traditional safety responsibilities. He's smart, good communicator out there. Love it. That's a guy you need to stay healthy. He's a Swiss Army knife, a lot of experience, heady, smart, great, fantastic job getting him to come to Notre Dame. Riley Mills, that's a big name. That is one of the top guys, like these shows or articles where it's like, who does Notre Dame need to step up the most next year? Riley Mills comes up a lot. Flashed yesterday. Multiple tackles for loss. Love to see it. Similar vein, Ryan Barnes. 6 tackles. I like seeing a new name that we're not exactly used to up there in the tackles. Good job for him. Botello flashed. You already know he's a killer hitter. Getting that interception gives him some confidence. His drop back pass coverage has always been in question. That had to give him a little confidence. You know when he hits you, you're going 6 feet under the ground. That's a guy I just want to see play and succeed. All right? So those are some of my overall takeaways. Some good, some bad, some areas that need work. It's just hard to tell. And we all want the answers right now, and it's just not going to happen. Just like recruiting. We all want to know who we got and who we don't got right away so we could bank that and move on to the next thing to worry about and pursue, right? You're just not going to know. So some of it take with a grain of salt. Some of it flush down the toilet. Some of it look at it as value. Maybe it's just up to each individual person to be able to parse out what part of this is real, take it to the bank, direct translation to Ohio State, and what parts you could say they don't matter. I'm just going to block it out of my mind and throw it out. I don't know. These games are really tricky in that regard. So I don't know what you guys think. If you have any ideas about this that are different than mine, maybe you saw some things I didn't see being at the game, maybe online or on the Peacock or whatever. You saw some different things that I missed just because there's a lot going on when you're there and whatever. I don't know. But what I do know is this recruiting operation is going to get Notre Dame in a prime position to win playoff games. I just don't know when. That's the big thing. Everybody's saying, I've been saying. Freeman, Kelly got this thing, built the foundation, built the stable culture, got us to where we're beating the teams we're supposed to beat and all that. And so my line and everybody else's line is, Freeman was brought in to get it to the next level. Accurate. That's what I've been saying. However, here's the nuance here that isn't being talked about. Yes, Freeman was brought in here to get us to the next level. Nobody said that was going to be immediate. I didn't. Nobody said that means national championship next year, beat the hell out of Ohio State. So, you can't act like Kelly left every position group in an A-plus spot. Now comes Freeman, go win time. There's a little bit of that perception out there, and I don't buy it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. So, yeah, Freeman's here to get us to the next level. I'm not saying that process is going to be instant. Like I've been saying, no one, and I mean no one, can undo 11 years of Brian Kelly recruiting in 6 months. It's absolutely unreasonable to expect that. Keep that in mind. And I think we're going to address this exact topic in a few days. So let me know what you guys think, any takeaways I missed or whatever. Again, thank you to everybody I met. I always meet my old friends, leave with some new ones. That's what this is all about. Lovely weekend. Happy to be there. Let's go Irish.